What's going on, guys? This is James from Vault 7 Production. Today I'm going to be talking about how to make music like I Hate Models. So I want to preface this by saying that this is based primarily on the I Hate Models releases back in the day on Arts, so 2016-17 era, and maybe it's not quite as in line with what he's doing now. His stuff now has more of like a hard, groovy, and schranzy drum style. But I may go over those in another tutorial video because I know how to replicate those as well. Now, I also want to say that the information in this video is largely based on information that I've read and gathered from some interviews that are out there that I'll link below. Where I Hate Models talks about his production workflow. And then also, I've had a few conversations with I Hate Models over the years, as I'm a techno DJ and producer, and I've played a few shows with him. And so I've talked to him a bit about how he does things. So yeah, let's get started. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing we're going to go over here is the kick drum. I know for a fact that back in the day, I Hate Models was using predominantly Jomox drum samples while he was using a drum machine from Jomox. And so we're trying to replicate the sound of those drum machines. The way to do that is to use a kick drum that doesn't have much high end. It's really going to be mostly lows and mids. So if you look at the read on this kick sample that I'm using, there's really no high end. And you have a pretty heavy boom here at about 100 hertz, and that's on purpose. We want it to be kind of a punchy kick. In fact, I want it to be punchy enough that it's going to kind of cut through the rest of the mix, so I'm adding Camel Crusher to it. That's just the stock preset, added a little bit of compression, distortion, and that's about it. It's just to kind of add even more punch. Now, the next thing I've noticed about I Hate Models' old stuff is that a lot of the time you have this rounded kick and then you have a really elongated sub that sounds almost like an 808. And so I'm just using a basic sub sine wave and I'm volume shaping it. So I'm side chaining it. And I'm layering this with the kick drum so that you have this really elongated tail on it. It sounds like it's one thing. It's just a single quarter note pattern here. So without it, you don't have as much of that tail. And there's no processing on the group. That's going to be it. Now, the next thing we're going to go over here is the pad. I Hate Models, from what I have talked to him about, typically uses a Prophet or a Jupiter, and he has the Dave Smith analog physical versions of those. Obviously, not all of us can afford that. And so in this case, I'm using the Arturia Prophet. And the Arturia Prophet is really great for this sort of sound, for this dreamy kind of melancholic pad sound. They have a lot of great presets that you can scroll through. And so I found this bad pad preset. I took some of the noise out and took one of the oscillators down. So it's just this kind of square wave chorusy pad. Then I'm EQing it a little bit, and I added Valhalla Shimmer. I add a mono reverb onto my synths typically, particularly pads because they're so wide. So this is a mono reverb, and yeah, just messed with the mix. Didn't even mess with the lower high cut here. This is what it sounds like. And something that I've noticed with his pad writing, like the composition on the pads typically, is it's going to be a relatively simple pattern, a lot of walking down or up a step on the high end. So you have like a minor chord, and then on the top note, you just push it up one and down one over and over again. So you get this kind of eerie walking chord cadence. And so, yeah, that's how I got that. I'm going to pair this with the kick now. Okay. Now, the next thing that we're going to go over here is this electro-y buzz. Obviously, a lot of the sounds that I think I Hate Models draws inspiration from are going to be kind of these old French electro, like Ed Bangery sounds. And so I found this preset Inspired that I liked a lot. This is what it sounds like without any processing. And really what I wanted to do was add more high end. I didn't want nearly as much low end in this, but I wanted to kind of add that buzzy French electro bit crushed high end. So I used some erosion. Pair this with the erosion now. Just adds that kind of bit crushy buzz to it. And then I add some delay just to add some atmosphere, make it a bit denser. I'm gonna OTT just to catch any peaks. It's obviously kind of a transient heavy sound, so I want to just level it out a bit. And then I wanted just a little bit more high end, so I threw an EQ3 on there and boosted the high end. And then last but not least, we have the breakbeat. Typically, I Hate Models is going to use a breakbeat somewhere in one of his tracks. And to get this sound, I used Vengeance Central Club Sounds breakbeats. Typically, resampling is going to make more sense than programming a breakbeat because you want that sort of old school jungly characteristic to it. So I found this breakbeat sample. This is what it sounds like. And then I went ahead and used the models processing chain that is included in our sample pack. Highly recommend checking that out. It's linked in the description to this video. And it's a one button processing chain. So this is without it and with it. Essentially just flanges the breakbeat a bit, adds some delay, adds some limiting, levels everything out, and it adds this kind of nice distortion to it. And layered with everything, it's going to sound like this. Alright guys, that's all for today. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you got some good information out of this. And if you're interested, we are selling an I Hate Models sample pack right now. It has 24 unique sounds that are in the style of what we went over today. They're honestly really pretty amazing. I've been playing around with the sample pack a lot since I made it. And it's really easy. You can essentially just throw in a few samples and at the push of a button you basically have a track ready to go, or at least a really good idea for a track in the style of I Hate Models. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, I left a link in the description for that. I also teach production lessons. I take on people of all skill levels, and if you're interested in that, please just email me at the email provided below and I'll get back with you. Thank you.